Hello, and welcome back to Sera English. I am so glad you are here with me again. Wherever you are listening from, whether it is morning or night, whether you are on a bus or sitting quietly at home, I want you to know that choosing to spend this time with your English is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Every single episode you listen to, you are becoming better. You may not feel it every day, but it is happening. Trust the process. Today I have a story for you that I have been wanting to tell for a long time. It is a story set by the sea, and I think by the end of it, you will feel something quiet and strong inside your chest. The story is called The Woman Who Talked to the Sea. But first, our word of the episode. The word is solitude. Solitude. Say it with me. Solitude. Solitude means the state of being alone, especially in a way that feels peaceful rather than lonely. Solitude is chosen aloneness. It is different from loneliness. Loneliness is when you feel sad about being alone. Solitude is when you choose to be alone because you need it, because it restores you, because silence is sometimes the only thing that tells you the truth. Solitude. Hold that word close as we begin our story today. Her name was Amara, and she came to the sea every morning at 5:30. Not because she had to, not because anyone asked her to, but because the sea was the only place in the world where she felt like herself again. Amara was 51 years old. She lived in a small coastal town called Benhara, where the houses were white and the streets smelled of salt and grilled fish and something ancient that you could not quite name. She had lived there her whole life, except for the 12 years she had spent in the city. 12 years of a career, a marriage, an apartment on the 14th floor with no view of anything green or blue, only concrete and noise, and the particular kind of exhaustion that comes from living a life that belongs to everyone else but yourself. She had come back to Benhara 8 years ago, after the divorce and after leaving the job and after the long, disorienting period that she privately called the unraveling, when everything she had built fell apart and she had to decide who she was without any of it. She had come back to Benhara. She had come back to the sea. Now let me teach you a vocabulary word. The word is disorienting. Disorienting. It means causing you to feel confused, lost, or unsure of where you are or who you are. When something is disorienting, it takes away your sense of direction, not just physically, but emotionally too. For example, moving to a new country can be disorienting at first. Or, losing a job you had for many years can be deeply disorienting. Amara's unraveling was disorienting because everything she had used to define herself was suddenly gone. Disorienting. Write it down. Every morning at 5:30, she walked down the narrow stone steps from her house to the beach below. She wore the same thing almost every day, a long dark coat, old boots, her hair loose. She carried nothing except sometimes a small thermos of tea. She would walk to the water's edge, and she would stand there for a moment, looking out at the horizon where the sea met the sky. And then she would begin to talk. Not loudly, not in a way that anyone could hear. Not that there was ever anyone at the beach at that hour. She spoke quietly, almost in a whisper, the way you speak to someone very close to you. She told the sea things she could not tell anyone else. She told it about her fears, the ones that visited her at night, the ones that made her lie awake wondering if she had wasted something important, if it was too late, if the best of her life was already behind her. She told it about her daughter Maya, who lived in another city and called every Sunday and was polite but distant in the way that adult children sometimes are when they remember things their parents would rather forget. She told it about the small victories, too. The day she finally repainted her kitchen a shade of green she loved. The morning she finished reading a book that changed how she saw herself. The evening she cooked a meal that was so good it made her laugh out loud alone at her table. The sea, of course, never answered. But it always listened. And somehow that was enough. Here is an idiom I want you to learn. The idiom is to turn over a new leaf. To turn over a new leaf means to make a fresh start, to change your behavior or your life for the better. When you turn over a new leaf, you leave behind old habits or patterns and begin again with intention. For example, after years of unhealthy eating, she decided to turn over a new leaf and start cooking at home. Or, he turned over a new leaf after his illness and became more present with his family. Amara, when she came back to Benhara and began her mornings by the sea, was turning over a new leaf. She was choosing, deliberately and quietly, to begin again, to turn over a new leaf. One morning in late November, Amara arrived at the beach to find someone already there. This had never happened in 8 years. The beach at 5:30 in November was entirely hers, or so she had always believed. The person was sitting on the large flat rock near the southern end of the beach, wrapped in a dark coat similar to Amara's, knees pulled up, looking out at the water. Amara could see from a distance that it was a young woman, perhaps 25 or 26, with short hair and the particular stillness of someone who is not at peace. Amara hesitated. This was her time, her beach, her ritual. She did not want company. She had not wanted company in 8 years, and she was very good at not having it. But something made her walk toward the rock instead of away from it. She stopped a few feet away. "You're going to get very cold sitting on that," Amara said. "The rock holds the night chill for hours." The young woman looked up. She had been crying. Her eyes were red and swollen, but she did not seem embarrassed by it. She just looked at Amara with an expression that was very tired and very young at the same time. "I do not mind the cold," she said. "No," Amara said. "At your age, you never do." She sat down on the sand a few feet from the rock, wrapped her coat tighter, and looked out at the sea. They sat in silence for a long time. The sky was beginning to lighten very slightly at the edges. The water moved in its slow, indifferent way. "Does it help?" the young woman asked finally. "Coming here?" Amara considered this honestly. "Yes," she said, "but not in the way I expected when I started." "What do you mean?" "I expected the sea to give me answers," Amara said. "I talked to it every morning for 2 years waiting for some kind of clarity, some moment when everything would suddenly make sense. That never happened." She paused. "But I realized eventually that asking the right questions out loud, even to something that cannot answer, that is the point. You hear yourself. You understand yourself. The sea is just a mirror that does not judge you." The young woman was quiet. Then she said, "My name is Nadia." "Amara," said Amara. "Let me pause here for a vocabulary word. The word is indifferent." Indifferent. It means having no particular interest in something, not caring one way or the other. When I say the water moved in its slow, indifferent way, I mean the sea does not care about human problems. It simply continues being itself, which is actually one of the reasons people find it so comforting. Indifference in nature is somehow soothing. It reminds us that the universe continues regardless of our pain, and that our pain, as real as it is also temporary. Indifferent. Use it in a sentence today. Nadia came back the next morning. And the morning after that. By the fourth morning, it was simply understood that they would both be there. They did not make a formal arrangement. They did not exchange phone numbers or promise to meet. They simply appeared, separately, at 5:30 and sat together at the edge of the world. Slowly, in the way that real things happen, not quickly, not dramatically, but in small pieces offered and received, Nadia told Amara her story. She had moved to Benhara 3 weeks earlier, running from something she could not name precisely, only that her life in the city had reached a point where she could not breathe inside it anymore. A relationship that had lasted for years had ended badly. A job she had worked hard for had turned out to be the wrong job in the wrong place for the wrong reasons. She had sublet her apartment, packed 2 bags, and driven to the coast almost without deciding to. The car had simply gone south, she said, and she had let it. "I do not know what I am doing here," she said one morning. "I do not have a plan. I have never not had a plan in my life." "And how does that feel?" Amara asked. Nadia thought about it. "Terrifying," she said. "And also, very slightly, like something might be possible that was not possible before." Amara smiled. "That is exactly how the beginning of something real feels," she said. "Terrifying and slightly open. That is the door cracking." Here is an idiom for you. The idiom is to be at a crossroads. To be at a crossroads means to be at a point in your life where you must make an important decision, where 2 or more paths are available and you must choose one. Nadia was at a crossroads. Her old life was behind her, and she had not yet chosen what came next. Many of us know this feeling. It is uncomfortable, but being at a crossroads is not a failure. It is actually proof that life is asking you to grow, to be at a crossroads. Amara began to tell Nadia about her own crossroads, the one she had stood at 8 years ago, at 43, with nothing left of what she had built and no idea who she was beneath it. "I thought I had failed," Amara said. "Completely and utterly failed. The marriage, the career, the person I had tried to be for 20 years, all of it gone. I came back to Benhara because I had nowhere else to go. Not because I had a plan, because I had run out of other options." "That does not sound like a choice," Nadia said. "That sounds like collapse." "It was both," Amara said. "Sometimes collapse is the choice. Sometimes you have to let things fall apart completely before you can see what they were made of and what you are made of underneath." She was quiet for a moment, watching a fishing boat move slowly across the far distance, very small against the pale morning sky. "The first year was very hard," she continued. "I did not know how to be alone. I had spent my entire adult life surrounded by noise and obligation and other people's needs. Silence terrified me. I would sit in my house at night and feel the quiet pressing against me like a physical thing." She paused. "I started coming to the beach because I could not sleep. And I started talking to the sea because talking to myself inside four walls felt like madness, but talking to something vast and ancient felt like prayer." Nadia was listening in the particular way she listened, very still, very present, as if each word was something she needed to handle carefully. "Did it get easier?" she asked. "Slowly," Amara said. "The way everything real gets easier. Not all at once. Not with a single moment of clarity. Just one morning you realize the silence does not frighten you anymore. One morning you notice that you woke up and the first thought you had was not about what you had lost, but about what you wanted to make for breakfast. Small things, but they add up. Here is a vocabulary word I love very much. The word is resilience. Resilience. Resilience means the ability to recover from difficulties, to adapt, and keep going after hardship. A resilient person is not someone who never breaks. A resilient person is someone who breaks and then, slowly, puts themselves back together, and often comes back stronger and more themselves than they were before. Resilience is not toughness. Toughness means not feeling things. Resilience means feeling everything and continuing anyway. Resilience. The weeks passed. November became December, and the mornings grew colder and the sea darker, and still they came. Nadia found a small job at a cafe in town, washing up at first, then helping in the kitchen, then eventually behind the counter because the owner, a cheerful man named Tomas, noticed that she had a way of remembering exactly what each regular customer ordered and calling them by name. "You are a natural," Tomas told her. Nadia did not know what she was a natural at yet, but she filed this information away carefully, like finding a coin you did not know you had. She started walking in the afternoons, along the coastal path that wound above the town, where the wind came in strong and clean and smelled of salt and open distance. She started cooking properly for herself for the first time in years, following recipes with the same focus she had once given to spreadsheets and project timelines. She started sleeping through the night. "Something is happening," she told Amara one morning. "I know," Amara said. "I cannot explain it. I have not solved anything. I still do not have a plan, but I feel steadier, like the ground is more solid under my feet than it was a month ago." "That is you," Amara said. "Not the sea. Not Benhara. You did that." Nadia shook her head slightly. "You helped." "I was here," Amara said. "That is different from helping. Sometimes all anyone needs is for someone to be present without requiring anything from them. No advice. No solutions. No fixing." She smiled. "The sea taught me that." Here is another idiom. The idiom is to weather the storm. To weather the storm means to successfully deal with a difficult period or situation, to get through hardship without being destroyed by it. When a ship weathers a storm, it does not avoid the storm. It goes through it and comes out the other side. People who weather storms in their lives do not pretend the difficulty is not happening. They face it, they feel it, and they keep moving. To weather the storm. One morning in late January, Nadia arrived at the beach earlier than usual. The sky was still entirely dark. Amara was already there, standing at the water's edge, coat wrapped around her, the way she always was. Nadia stood beside her. "I got a phone call yesterday," Nadia said, "from a woman I used to work with. She is starting a small business, and she asked me to come and help her build it. It is in the city." Amara did not say anything for a moment. "What did you say?" she asked. "I said I needed to think about it." Nadia paused. "I have been thinking about it." The sea moved in. The sea moved out. A bird called somewhere in the darkness above them. "Are you afraid?" Amara asked. "Yes." "Are you excited?" A pause. "Also yes." "Then it is probably the right thing," Amara said. The wrong things are usually only one or the other. The right things are both at once. They stood in silence for a long time. I am afraid of going back, Nadia said finally. Not to the city specifically, but to the version of myself I was there. The one who was always rushing, always performing, always so certain she knew exactly who she was supposed to be. That version of you is gone, Amara said simply. You cannot go back to her even if you try.
You're different now.
You have been through something. You have chosen solitude, and you have sat with your own silence, and you have come out knowing something about yourself that you did not know before. You will carry that with you. It does not stay at the beach. Nadia was quiet for a long time. How do you know? She asked. Because I had to leave Benhara once too, Amara said. And I carried the sea with me the whole time. Not the place. The thing I had learned here. The way of listening.
She paused.
You carry what you have truly learned everywhere you go. It becomes part of how you move through the world. Here is a vocabulary word. The word is introspection. Introspection. It means the examination of your own thoughts, feelings, and motivations, looking inward rather than outward. When you practice introspection, you ask yourself honest questions and you sit with the answers, even when they are uncomfortable. Many people avoid introspection because it can be difficult to look clearly at yourself. But it is one of the most valuable things you can do. Nadia's months in Benhara were a period of deep introspection. She came out of it knowing herself more clearly. Introspection. Nadia left Benhara on a Thursday morning in early February. Amara walked her to her car. The street was quiet and cold, the cobblestones still damp from the night. Nadia's 2 bags were in the back seat, same as when she had arrived. They stood by the car for a moment.
Thank you, Nadia said.
For not telling me what to do. For not having answers. For just being there. Thank you, Amara said, for reminding me that the sea still works. Nadia laughed, a real laugh, full and warm, the kind Amara had not heard from her in the early weeks. They embraced briefly. Nadia got in the car. Amara stepped back onto the pavement. She watched the car drive down the narrow street and turn at the corner and disappear. Then she turned and walked back down the stone steps to the beach, to the water's edge, to her place. The sea was the same as it had always been, wide and gray and ancient and completely itself. Amara stood at the edge of it and felt something she had not expected to feel. Gratitude, not the polite, surface kind. The deep kind, the kind that rises up from somewhere below your ribs and makes you feel briefly that your life has been worth exactly what it cost. She had come here 8 years ago with nothing. She had learned to be alone without being lost. She had learned to find herself in silence. And now, without planning to, she had given some small part of that to someone who needed it. She had not solved Nadia's problems. She had not told her what to do or who to be. She had simply been present. She had simply been there, every morning, at the edge of the world, doing the things she did. And somehow, that had been enough. Here is our final idiom for today. The idiom is to come full circle. To come full circle means to return to the beginning, to arrive back at a starting point after a long journey, but changed by everything that happened in between. When something comes full circle, it feels complete. Amara's life had come full circle. She had once been someone like Nadia, lost and at the edge, and now she had been the steady presence that helped someone else find their footing. the beginning and the ending, touching each other. To come full circle. Before we close today, I want to do our review together. Our word of the episode was solitude, chosen, peaceful aloneness that restores you. We learned disorienting, confusing, making you feel lost or unsure. We learned indifferent, not caring either way, unaffected. We learned resilience, the ability to recover from hardship and keep going. We learned introspection, the practice of honestly examining your own thoughts and feelings. Our idioms today were to turn over a new leaf, to be at a crossroads, to weather the storm, and to come full circle.
Say them one more time with me.
To turn over a new leaf, to be at a crossroads, to weather the storm, to come full circle. The moral of today's story is gentle but important. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone or for yourself is simply to show up, to be present, to sit with the difficult thing instead of running from it or rushing past it. Amara did not fix Nadia. Nadia fixed herself. But Amara was the witness, the steady presence, the person who modeled, through her own quiet life, that it is possible to come through loss and still find mornings worth waking up for. And the sea did what it always does. It listened. It continued. It reminded them both that there are things in this world much larger than any single person's pain, and that this is not something to be afraid of. It is something to find comfort in. You are not alone in your struggles. Every person you will ever meet is carrying something. Some of them are very good at hiding it. Some of them are standing at the water's edge at 5:30 in the morning talking to something that cannot talk back, because that is the only thing that helps. Be kind to those people. Be kind to yourself. And if you ever find yourself at a crossroads, lost, unsure which way to go, try finding something vast and quiet to sit beside. A sea, a forest, an open field under a night sky. Let it remind you how small and how significant you are at the same time. Then turn over a new leaf and begin. Thank you so much for listening to episode 5 of Sera English. You are wonderful for being here, for choosing this, for giving your English this kind of gentle and consistent attention. I will be back with another story very soon. Until then, take care of yourself. Speak English every day, even just one sentence, even just one word. Every small thing counts. Every morning at the water's edge counts. This is Sera English. I will see you in the next episode.